Hi dear students, in last video we discussed in detail about the male reproductive system and the parts which produce the germ cell or the male gamete, the sperm and the part that deliver the germ cells to the site of fertilization. And today we are going to discuss in detail about the female reproductive system and its parts and also about female germ cells or the eggs. Female reproductive system, and here you can see the picture or the diagram of female reproductive system, and the same is given in your textbook also, and the diagram is very important. Okay, so the female germ cells or the eggs are made in the ovaries. Here you can see one ovary here and one ovary here. Okay, so they are responsible for the production of hormones also. Okay, so when a girl is born, right, the ovaries already contain thousands of eggs in them, immature egg. Okay, so on reaching puberty, that means when they reach the adolescence age, some of these starts maturing. Okay, and one egg is produced every month by one of the ovary, either by this one or by this one. Okay, and that egg is carried from the ovary into the womb through a tube. Here, this tube, here you can see, and if in this case here, and the tube is called fallopian tube or oviduct. Is it clear? Yes, so two oviducts, here one here and one from this side, unite into an elastic bag like structure known as uterus. Okay, and this uterus opens into vagina through the cervix. So these are the important parts of female reproductive system. Okay, and the lining of the uterus, that is known as endometrium. Okay, so what happens in every female or girl child, the immature egg will be produced as they are born, and when they reach puberty or the adolescence age, in every month one egg will be matured either from any one of the ovary, and that will be brought into the womb, and it will be brought through the small tube that is known as fallopian tube or oviduct. Okay, and this is the uterus, and uterus opens into vagina through the cervix. And we already discussed about the male reproductive system and how the sperms are produced and how it is being released, right? So what is fertilization? We already learned about fertilization. The definition is the fusion of male and female gametes, right? So the sperm enter through the vaginal passage during sexual intercourse. So through vagina, the sperms enter into the female body through sexual intercourse. Okay, and that they travel, these sperms, they travel and reach the oviduct where they try to meet the egg, because egg will be released by the ovary, it will be carried from here through the fallopian tube, right? So before that itself, this sperm will enter and it will go through that and try to encounter or attack that egg for fertilization. And here you can see the egg and hundreds of sperms trying to attack them for fertilization. And after, yes, here you can see the clear how the implantation occurs. So here this is the ovary, magnified picture is shown here. So ovary releases the egg. So the day 0, yes, so the sperm will enter from here and it will move through the oviduct and try to reach here. Here you can see the sperm trying to attack this egg or trying to fertilize the egg. Here you can see, right? So fertilization, fusion of male and female happens, and that becomes zygote. Okay, and it start dividing or multiplying. Day 1, day 2, the cells start multiplying, and on the day 7th, almost the day 7th, that will be almost reaching to the uterus, the lining of the uterus. Okay, so the fertilized egg and the zygote that moves and implanted in the lining of the uterus, and they further start multiplying from the lining of the uterus. Okay, here you can see the developing embryo. And here also you can see yes, here it's the ovary where the egg is released, it is moving, and where the fertilized and the sperm moves from here, and they will be fertilizing, and they will come here, and they will be implanted here in the lining of the uterus. Okay, and here you can see the embryo starts developing in the lining of uterus. And what is placenta? It's a very important part. What is placenta, right? So the baby or the embryo gets nutrition from the mother's blood. So how they are getting that? So with the help of a special tissue called placenta. Okay, so the babies or the growing embryo gets the nutrition from the mother's blood, so that with the help of a special tissue known as placenta. Okay, and this is a disc which is embedded in the uterine wall. That means the uterine wall. And it contains a villi on the embryo side of the tissue. Villi means a finger-like projections, right? Also on the mother's side also the blood spaces which is surrounded by villi. Here you can see finger-like projections. Actually that provides a larger surface area for the absorption of glucose and oxygen to pass from mother's body to the baby or the embryo. Okay, so that is important about placenta, which is a special tissue which helps in giving the nutrition from the mother's body to the growing embryo. And what is the main functions of placenta, which we already discussed? That means this provide a larger space for the surface area for glucose and oxygen to the pass from mother's body to the baby. And also one more thing is there, the developing embryo will be producing or generating waste also, right? So that also to be brought back to the mother's blood. So that also will be done by the placenta itself. Okay, so both oxygen and nutrition hormones is delivered to the baby, and also waste and carbon dioxide delivered from baby to the mother's blood. And childbirth. Okay, so the development of child inside the mother's body takes approximately 9 months. We all know that, right? And the child is born as a result of the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the muscles in the uterus. Okay, so that is how the child is coming out. Okay, so till we discussed about when an egg is fertilized. That means if the fertilization occurs. Now we need to know if that fertilization doesn't happen, what happens to that egg, and what are the different things happening inside the female reproductive system. So every month eggs will be produced in the female body, and it will be released out, right? So if that egg is not fertilized, so what happens? That's a big question, right? So ovary releases one egg every month, and our uterus also prepares well every month to receive that fertilized egg. Okay, that means the lining of the uterus becomes thick and spongy to receive that fertilized egg, right? So if it is not, that means if the egg is not fertilized, that arrangement in the uterus is not necessary, right? So that has to be removed out. So if it is not, the egg is not fertilized, the arrangement, the lining inside is no longer needed. That means that spongy, well set up region inside the uterus, that is no longer needed. So that is to be removed out. So that breaks off, and that is comes out through the vagina as blood and mucus. So this is what is known as menstruation. Okay, so this cycle takes place every month, and it's known as menstruation. And it usually lasts, this bleeding will usually last for almost 2 to 8 days. Okay, so hope you understood. So if the egg is not fertilized, that means fertilization, fusion of male and female gamete, that means sperm and egg is not taking place. Yeah, so every month the uterus will be ready enough, they will be ready enough to receive that fertilized egg, and the lining of the uterus become thick and spongy. Yeah, if it is not, the egg is not fertilized, that is no longer needed. That time that breaks off and that is removed out through the vagina as blood and mucus. Okay, that cycle is known as menstruation. Okay, and the menstruation will last about 2 to 8 days in females. So this is all about female reproductive system. I hope it is clear to you. Yes, now we need to discuss about the contraceptive method, which will be discussed in the next video. Thank you.